realistically, the other thing is, because he's charging tens of thousands of dollars, if his brand positioning is poor, then he generally attracts lower quality leads. And that was one of the problems that he said to us on one of the initial calls, that he said people, they may reach out, but they don't convert, because when he tells them the price, they're scared. They're just not prepared to pay that much, and they didn't expect it.
Hello and welcome to Marketing Speak. I'm your host, Stephan Spencer. It's wonderful to have Greg Merrilees back with us on the show. He's been a guest multiple times. Founder and managing director of Studio One Design, an incredible design firm that it's my go-to. It's my secret weapon for not just all my websites and my wife's websites, but my clients as well. And we've been working together for over a decade. It's just been an incredible partnership. In this episode, we are going to go over how across many years we've collaborated on many, many clients. But in this particular episode, we are going to zoom in on one particular client, Ware Landscaping, and how we were able to take this local services business from a pretty not great place in terms of, typical local services business in terms of the quality of their SEO and their web design, their conversion, to really stellar, really outstanding in many ways. And you're going to learn some great stuff in this episode about how you can apply these same principles to your own website. And there's stuff in here that I'm going to guarantee you have not heard of before. Strategies and tactics that will be outside the box and you'll want to implement on your own site as well. Greg, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Stephan. 10 years, hey? Wow. It's a long time.
It's been, I think, over 10 years, really. I think probably 2014 or so is when we met through Taki Moore, through the Black Belt Mastermind that he was running. And wow, out of the many thousands of dollars I spent with Taki for that mastermind, multiple years, the best thing I got out of that was that intro and the recommendation to work with you. I'm so grateful.
Amazing. I was going to say, like 10 years of working together, but we built a friendship, It's kind of, it goes a lot deeper than just working together. We hang out together.
That's right. Where I consider us soul family. I think that, we must have worked together in past lives or something.
We do get along well.
It just seemed like the most natural thing to collaborate with you in so many projects. And we help each other in life and business. And our lives are both richer because each other are in it.
You bet. Now the listeners probably think, get on with it, guys. So what have we got for them?
Yes. So let's talk a bit about the background of Ware Landscaping, why they needed the up-leveling. So why don't you start with from a design and conversion standpoint, and you're going to use a secret tool that many people know about, but not everybody. So why don't you explain this tool that will help our listener? You're actually sharing your screen right now also. So if you listener are only listening without video, you might want to watch this later with the video so that you can see all the before and after work, and it'll give you a lot more tangible, it's a richer experience. So Greg, you're sharing your screen now, and you're showing us a tool called the Wayback Machine. Why don't you explain?
Yeah, you introduced me to this tool, and I use it to show a lot of clients what websites look like back in the day. And this goes back to 1990 something, Stephan, this machine?
And yeah, so I think 95 and
95.
Yeah, 90. So not every website from 95 was captured. So netconcepts.com, I actually started my agency, believe it or not, in 1995. And the first iteration of netconcepts.com and the Wayback Machine that was captured is like from 1997. So you actually can see my site, what it looked, my agency website from 1997 in the Wayback Machine. So yeah, continue.
All right. And so what we're showing here is what warelandscaping.com looked like before we designed it. And to get that, we've gone to the Wayback Machine. You just hover over one of the dates and you can click on it to show the actual, what it looked like. And here it is. So this is what it used to look like before.
And the URL for the Wayback Machine?
Yeah. What is it?
Archive.org.
There you go. I had no idea. I just type into Google.
Or you can Google it.
All right. So Ware Landscaping used to look like this. And just a bit of a background, like Michael Ware started this business in like early 2000s, I think. And, since he was a teenager, he just loved landscaping and turned into a business. And he did quite well, really. Like he's doing really well in the Napier area of what's the state?
Napier is in New Zealand. No, Naperville. Naperville, which is a suburb of Chicago. Yeah, so he's Chicago based.
Chicago. There you go. Obviously, being an Australian, I have no idea where that is. But okay, and so, but he's got a really good reputation. And he does incredible work, right? Like he's really good at what he does. A lot of his work comes from people having a problem with their drainage, essentially, and that'll turn into a full drainage, landscaping, hardscape, whatever they need. He'll just turn into a full project because clients love working with him. He's very down to earth, and people just stick around for years with him because he does such incredible work. But this is what his homepage used to look like, right? So probably not terrible for something that's probably created in 2020 or whatever it is, but from our perspective, it's definitely not conversion focused. It's got a lot of issues with it. And then from an SEO perspective as well, the reason Stephan reached out to us is because for Stephan's team to be able to do amazing work like they do, they need a website that is going to convert better. And that's why we team up a lot.
And has a better brand look and feel, and has that positioning of quality and like kind of high touch, upper echelon. And when people are spending tens of thousands of dollars for hardscaping or a drainage, fix, they want to know that this is not a fly-by-night. This is not a guy in a garage operation. That this is really legit, and that they stand behind their guarantee, and that they're here for the long haul. So this website design did not reflect that. And so when we worked really hard to get SEO results for Michael Ware, we would end up driving them to a website that looked not so credible. And some of the traffic didn't convert that probably should have.
And so realistically, the other thing is, because he's charging, tens of $1,000s, if his brand positioning is poor, then he generally attracts lower quality leads. And that was one of the problems that he said to us on one of the initial calls, that he said people, they may reach out, but they don't convert, because when he tells them the price, they're scared. They're just not prepared to pay that much, and they didn't expect it. But when your brand positioning is high quality, then people expect it. And that's one of the results that we'll talk to later on. But it's really changed, with the brand positioning compared to what it was to what it is now, to attract and convert better quality leads.
Yeah, and one of the things that you suggested that was really great was to do a pricing juxtaposition and provide several tiers of services, like with kind of like a subscription service of landscaping, mowing lawns and cleaning up the yard and all that sort of stuff. And there were 3 different options that I thought was really clever. And I'd say it would send away a lot of the tire kickers and the people who tend to lowball, because it's right there in the pricing page. Now, a drainage job can be much more complicated and requires an on-site kind of inspection and analysis and estimation. But for the more straightforward jobs of like landscaping and stuff, you can, or snow removal, depending on the situation, you can give pricing juxtapositions of three different options.
Yeah. And so, we'll show those pages and how that's all displayed. But it really helps, with clarity and attract the right person. But one thing that he really did well was he had this 10-year guarantee, no questions asked, which I think this is the only place it's actually mentioned.
Yeah, for drainage. So a drainage project, which is one of the most expensive types of projects with Ware Landscaping, no questions asked, money back guarantee if it didn't work or stopped working years later, which was really a great guarantee, really differentiated.
And that's exactly right. And so he'll fix it for free forever, pretty much for 10 years. So incredible guarantee, but it's kind of hidden here. And obviously we're very conversion focused. So it's the brand positioning piece, but then also just the look and feel where you want the eye to be drawn to the call to action. And we've got 3 orange things right next to each other that are really competing. Obviously top nav's orange, the logo's orange, everything's orange, right? So, and even this text is orange. So it's okay to use your brand color on your webpage, but use it sparingly so it doesn't compete with everything else around it.
And what do you call that? Is that the accent color?
Yeah, it could be the accent color. It's like for instance, for this palette, like he has blues and he has navy. You can't quite see it. It's kind of hidden. When you scroll down, it's just a single color logo, but he has a navy blue and an orange in his logo, which is all over his signage on his vehicles and everywhere. So we were going to change the logo, but he decided not to change it. But we kept the palette because it's actually known in the neighborhood for his existing branding. So that's one thing we have to be wary of if we are doing a brand positioning change, that we have to think about the existing clientele. If it's too jarringly different, they may think it's a totally new business and they may not associate it with the existing business, which they may have dealt with in the past. So it's just something to consider if you are rebranding. Think about, will your existing customers still recognize the brand when you upgrade it? But okay. So then all this text here, Stephan, just talk to this. Is this kind of there for SEO purposes? You think that's why?
Yeah. So we had been working for months with this client before you got involved, and we created a lot of additional content for their site. We created separate services pages that hadn't existed before. They had services pages before, but a big difference, and this is really crucial for any local services business. If you create a combination of the service and the town or village or suburb, and now you're targeting with these location plus service pages that particular market with that particular service. So for example, Naperville Landscaping, Naperville Drainage, Naperville Snow Removal. Those are really crucial pages to have. And if you're a law firm or you are a plumber or electrician or any other kind of local business, and you serve multiple suburbs, multiple towns in the area, you really need to do this, because that will help you to rank for those combinations of keywords and not just like try to be everything to everybody with the general drainage page. The general drainage page may rank for your main city or town or suburb, but it probably won't rank for all 10 or 15 other suburbs that you're trying to target as well. And that indeed was the case. And then by rolling out all these additional pages, which had valuable, unique content for each of these location and service pages, we were able to really up the rankings and the organic traffic. And that was even before the redesign happened.
There you go. And so you can see on these pages, you've got a lot of internal linking as well for other locations or services within each location, right?
Yeah. So if you think about it, if somebody's on a services page like drainage and they're in Brookfield or Oak Park or whatever, and they're not in your main town, in this case Naperville for Michael, then we should have a secondary navigation or in context links that drive the person to those more relevant suburbs. And then vice versa, if you're on a location page, let's say you're on the Oak Park page, well, what are the services that you offer for Oak Park? And that should link to those different other combination pages. So yeah, this is all kind of an internal linking strategy. Regardless of what kind of site you have, what kind of business you're in, you really need to hone in on an internal linking strategy that helps reinforce the importance of the pages that you think are important by linking to them in a strategic way internally with your own site, because you're not spending or sending more trust to those internal pages by linking to them from more pages on your own site, but you are sending more importance signals to Google. So that's a crucial distinction. Get trust from other sites linking to you, and that's why you want to get deep links to internal pages and not just to your homepage, but then how you spend that link equity internally once you receive it is through your internal linking structure.
Got it. Is part of that strategy writing blog posts as well for each of the services?
It can be, but if you're writing it primarily for SEO and not for user experience, the AIs at Google are way too sophisticated. Those algorithms will pick up that this is primarily SEO copy and it's not meant for human consumption. So it really needs to be a super valuable piece of content and pass that sniff test, because if a human user is not really interested in reading it, then the algorithm for sure is going to be able to pick that up.
There you go. Okay, good to know. Yeah, and so if we look at all of the pages, like all of the individual service pages or location pages, they just use like a standard blog layout, which is kind of boring.
Yeah, and you're still showing the old version of the site before the redesign. So yeah, for a listener who's listening, we haven't shown off the new site yet, which is amazing. And really does some really clever things. So yeah, this is just SEO applied to the old structure of the site, which was really constraining for us as an SEO company, us at Net Concepts.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. All right. So then, so he even had a careers page as well, which just looked like this. We'll show you the new version of that later and why that careers page is so important. But this was his about page. So generally speaking, people, they will visit your about page. Would you say it's one of the most visited pages on most websites, Stephan, the about page?
Yeah. People want to work with those that they know, like, and trust. And the about page, like your methodology for about pages was such a game changer for me and for all my clients, of having the whole storytelling with a timeline, with that hero's journey and everything, and not just a big block of text about the company. And it's a big difference maker. And of course, most people are going to want to know about you before they give you money.
Exactly. And it's your story, but it needs to relay back to what's in it for them. So we'll get to that when we'll show you the examples of what we've come up with. But so, and then, the service index page looked pretty average. On mobile, it was quite terrible as well. With these leakage points, the social media icons in the top nav, well, the purpose of your website is to bring people from social media to your website. We don't want to take them back again. So if anything, we'll just put social media icons in the footer, but not in the top nav.
And those were so prominent. Those social chiclets took up as much space as the logo for the business at the top, which is crazy.
True.
Like, who are you promoting? Are you promoting Facebook? You want Mark Zuckerberg to get more business, or are you trying to get more business for yourself?
Exactly. So we know that's what we started with. That was the problem. It was getting an increase in traffic, but it wasn't converting that well. It wasn't attracting quality leads and all that. It was hosted on slow hosting, so we recommended either Google Cloudways or WP Engine. He moved to WP Engine for this one. And so, just everything about it's been rebuilt. And then Stephan's team does a little bit of a conversion audit. So there was a whole bunch of tips that Stephan's team pointed out a lot of problems.
30 some pages, yeah. Just a few ideas.
Yeah, a few ideas. And then what we do as well, I have a deep dive call with the client to review his existing website. And we dive deeper into, his competitors and his target market, and we really get deep into what makes his target market tick. And when we think about what to put on the website as far as copy, it needs to talk to the target market. So what Stephan's team does is use the actual story brand, Donald Miller's story brand framework, where they draw out how the clients answer this questionnaire. And then obviously Stephan's team interviews the client as well to really find out what our client, like Michael Ware's clients, think, how they think, why they would choose him, why they wouldn't choose him, what their challenges are, and all that. And then you put that copy into the story brand framework on the web pages, and it really attracts the target market because they feel like you have a solution to their problem as well.
So an action for our listener or viewer might be, for their own up-leveling of their brand, either listen to the audiobook or read the book by Donald Miller called Building a Story Brand. It's a second edition now. It was recently updated. It's phenomenal. And I love the Story Brand SB7 framework. I love applying it to my clients and helping them to really get to the internal unspoken problem and not just the obvious external problem, to speak the language of the customer that's inside their head that they're not even willing to speak out loud. It's really, really powerful. And when you have that kind of storytelling that gets inside the head of the visitor and articulates the problem in ways they've never articulated before or aren't willing to speak out loud to even their friends, now you have a rapport and relatedness that no other competitor has. And that just really takes your brand to another level. So Building a Story Brand, great book. Donald Miller is on my Dream 100 wish list. So if any listener has a connection to Donald that can connect me with getting him on my show, that would be amazing. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I love it. Awesome. And so another thing that we do is have a look at the competitor analysis. Now, Michael knows this competitor, and he said he really likes this website. He said, if we did a website like this, he'd be quite happy. But the problem with that is, if we do it too similar, then obviously when somebody like a prospect comes to this website, comes to your website, they're not going to remember the difference. So what we need to do is make sure we review all of your competitors. This was another one. And we need to make sure that the brand positioning from every standpoint, from the look and feel to the messaging to the funnels, to absolutely every page and every aspect of the page is different to what your competitors are doing, right? And we don't even know if this works for them, so why copy them? And that's probably one of the biggest dangers with copying your competitors. You really don't know what's working on their website and what's not, so don't do that.
Yeah, funny thing about, because I was able to I knew the inside baseball on some of these really big client accounts like Zappos. So many people were copying exactly what Zappos was doing, but they were doing some really silly things that they just never got around to implementing something better. And so you'd see these poor strategies getting implemented across lots of other websites just because Zappos did it. But you don't know which of the things that Zappos is doing are best practice and actually work, and which things they just haven't gotten to fix or don't know what they don't know. And one example of that is on the homepage. For years and years, they were featuring random testimonial, like product reviews for products that weren't even relevant to the visitor. So toddler sandals or something, some random latest review would get featured for a toddler sandal, and maybe you're a teenager. Maybe you are 50 years old and your kids are all grown and have left the house, but you don't have grandkids yet. So these random testimonials or product reviews, customer reviews, were featured on the homepage, seemingly as content, SEO like fodder for Google, but it wasn't relevant and it wasn't strategic, and you'd see that get copied all over the place. Like, why are you doing that? That's silly. Just because Zappos doesn't mean that you should do it.
Exactly. And I guess that's a lesson for sure. So, yeah, so don't copy your competitors. But then also another thing that you guys helped him with was the strategy on YouTube, right? Because once again, he was getting what I call tire kickers, of leads that weren't very serious and not converting. So, what was your strategy here? How did you help Michael?
Yeah. So first of all, you didn't really have a resource for doing a lot of video production, or video editing, and YouTube optimization. So he did get lucky a few times with some videos that were, thousands of views, but for the most part, very, very few views, and it wasn't regular, it wasn't strategic, it wasn't optimized. And so we came in and helped with really up-leveling the YouTube presence. We took all the raw video content and really spiffed it up for not just long-form videos, but for shorts as well. So we've really hit it with some great shorts as well as some longer videos or some landscape mode videos. Here's a really crucial tip or strategy that I don't see many people implementing, and I think this will be worth the price of admission, which was $0 for listening to this episode. But this is so brilliant, and I'm really happy we implemented it on Ware Landscaping's YouTube channel. And that's this. You'll see some of the highest performing, most viewed, most watch time videos for Ware Landscaping are not shorts, but are regular videos, and yet they are only a minute or a minute and a half or 2 or 3 minutes long. You can have a short up to 3 minutes long. It used to be a minute, now it's 3 minutes. Why would we upload a short video, like a minute and a half, as a regular video instead of a short? And this is what's crucial about this. When people are scrolling in that dopamine addiction mode of short after short after short, or reel after reel after reel in Instagram, they are not in buying and researching mode. They are in entertain me mode. Give me another dopamine hit. So if we only do shorts for these shorter, compelling, educational videos that help people really understand what the problem is or what the solution is for, let's say, drainage, we've missed a huge opportunity. So some of these best performing videos, as far as if you can sort by most popular and see the highest view count videos there for any channel, and you'll see the highest performers for Ware Landscaping are a minute and a half and 2 minutes and 1 minute and so forth, with tens of thousands of views, which is really good for a very small local business, a small landscaping business in the Chicago area, to have multiple videos with tens of thousands of views and some with like 70 or 80,000 views. That's outstanding. And when so Michael told me on multiple occasions he loves getting leads that come in through YouTube because they are so qualified. They are so persuaded, to use Dr. Cialdini terminology, to buy, that he doesn't hardly have to sell them. They're just ready to get the contract and sign on the dotted line. It's really cool.
And good on him. Like, not many local businesses would even want to put themselves on camera and do this, And it's really smart. And he's just showing problems, and he's doing case studies of before and during and after of how he solves these problems. And it's just super helpful for prospects to see that.
And he's been doing this for years. And so many of those videos were just sitting on his Google Cloud or iCloud and not going anywhere, not serving the public, not helping him sell, except when he was on site. He'd be giving an estimate and he'd pull up on his iPad some of the past similar projects and showing short videos of that, or short clips from his video library, but it was not really leveraged for YouTube until now.
Yeah. And then the other thing we did was put all of his content onto his website as blog posts, essentially, right? We'll get to that. But yeah, again, that is really helpful for the users to keep people, if they come to your website, you want to keep them on your website. And if you embed a YouTube video on, we only do this on like the blog post where we embed a YouTube video. That way you still get the video count for YouTube, but you keep people on your website. So that's amazing. One thing we don't do, like for all of the sales videos, like the 10-year guarantee, and there's a whole bunch of other videos like that, on any type of sales or service type page, we upload the video to Vimeo. You could use Wistia or another platform other than YouTube. And that's because if somebody clicks on that, let's go to one of these, for instance, they go to a video on your webpage and it's a YouTube video and they click through, then what happens? They go through to YouTube and they never come back, essentially.
And another thing too that happens, I'm sure the listener has seen this, is when you play the video at the very end, there are related videos that are recommended, and they can be other channels, they could be competitors. I mean, you can pin something to the URL, the embed URL, so that it's only related videos on your channel, but most people don't even know to do that. And so they're advertising essentially competitors, competing channels and their videos at the end of the video that's embedded on your own site. And that won't happen with Vimeo or Wistia when you embed it there.
Exactly. So there's no leakage point whatsoever. Yeah. Okay. So then you've seen what the website looked like, and then our process really to do the redesign is we have our brand director create what we call a mood board. And so the mood board is really a series of, in this case, it's a multiple page PDF, a series of elements. And for instance, we start with the color mood. So we just want to capture a new look and feel with the color. And obviously we started with his palette, but we just enhanced the color a little bit to make it feel a little bit more modern than the orange that he had. So we just show an overview mood board. We show the color breakdown, how we want to use the color. We gave him some logo concept updates, but he decided not to go ahead with that. How we want to use the fonts and how the fonts are mixed with the different scale of the fonts, like the large headlines, the small paragraphs, and how it mixes with the images as well. And so it's just a whole screen, a whole mood board to show that, and how we want to treat some of the photos as well to keep them on brand. So you just take a generic photo and then colorize it to suit the brand, and we just push these into the background at various stages on the web page, and just manipulating photos in general, just to have them recolored slightly to match the brand. We just go in and recolor photos, just little bits and pieces of them. And then, just various textures and background images. We don't overuse these, but just use them sparingly throughout the pages. And then some custom illustrations and icons to represent the brand in a unique way as well. So we just go to that effort to give it that brand personality.
So if our listener or viewer has not seen a high quality mood board before, this is something that if you're just listening, go back and watch this part of the recording, because wow, the mood boards that come out of Studio One Design are next level. They are amazing. They're so high end, and they so get the customer, the ideal client avatar, and what appeals to them, and what helps them feel comfort and connection. And it's just so well done. I love your mood boards, and I can't imagine not having a mood board for a big important redesign project, because this is the map for what you're going to create. Otherwise, it's just kind of build the plane while you're flying it, which can be done, but it's a little dangerous.
Yeah, and it's really helpful for the client as well, because before we start designing the actual web page, we send this mood board. A lot of it is sort of just some custom ideas that we've put together, brand directors put together. It might be like getting some ideas from here and there, but then customizing it to make it unique for this brand. Everything's custom, right? And so from here, we send a walkthrough video going through each one of these slides to explain why the brand director did what she did. And it's super helpful for the client because they know with confidence this is how we intend the website to look and feel before we even start designing it. And they give us feedback on this. We ask them specifically, what do you like? What don't you like? And then we just take that on board as well. And then that'll help direct the designer. So when we get to design in the homepage, it's really got a solid starting point that the client's going to feel confident that we're going to deliver a homepage that they like the look of. And yeah, luckily for us, he loved a lot of this, and just said what he didn't like. So we just took what he liked and didn't use what he didn't like, essentially, when we start designing.
Yeah, and when you have this kind of map for what elements should look like, then you can create things like trust badges a lot easier, and they don't stick out like a sore thumb, like they don't match what the rest of the design is like. So you came up with a 10-year guarantee trust badge that was really beautiful and high-end looking and just really blended in well, but was still noticeable in the design. It wasn't garish or glaring or gaudy or ugly, like most trust badges just stick out and look awful and not part of the design.
Exactly. So yeah, and that's right. And so you'll notice as well, we're looking at the homepage, the new homepage that we created now. It has a lot of the mood board influence in there, but also it has all of the trust elements. And, Stephan just alluded to one. So if you do have something that's unique, create a custom graphic for that so that it makes it more unique, and you don't use a stock image, give it your own custom look and feel for anything that represents your uniqueness, essentially. So now we also have to keep in mind there's a couple of things that we're trying to get across above the fold. So some people might say, oh, it's got a lot of information. And yes, it does, right? But it's actually intentional and it converts. So let's just explain what we have above the fold here on the homepage. Now, obviously your homepage is probably the most visited page on your website, unless you send a lot of paid traffic to other pages. And it is also the page, even if people hear from you from another resource, they'll go to your homepage to check you out. You can guarantee that. So I guess, Stephan, in every analytics report you look at, would you say the homepage is generally always the most visited page?
Yeah, I mean, it's not always, but unless somebody has done some really great SEO or created some sort of campaign that was very successful, like a viral a report or study, something that got a lot of links, usually it'll be the homepage that is the highest trafficked and the most linked to page.
Got it. So above the fold, you'll notice there's no moving elements. There's no video background. That's all intentional because the most important thing is the messaging. And obviously we need to mix a little bit of SEO, like to have it to appeal to search engines, with conversions, right? So, I mean, Stephan can talk to the copy more, but basically, yeah, it's this here. It says exactly what, it has a lot of clarity, but it's also good for SEO. And then this sub headline underneath the main headline just clearly explains what's unique about them, that he's got this 10-year guarantee within there, and just says exactly what they do and who it's for, essentially. And it's really good. It's got emotional copy, I'll just read it because it's pretty important. We solve impossible drainage problems while creating beautiful new yards, all backed by a 10-year guarantee. 10-year drainage guarantee. We keep water out of your yards and basements so you have an amazing place to make memories with your families. Now, how cool is that? It's got the emotion, it's got the guarantee, it's got what's unique about them and exactly what they do with clarity. So that's pretty powerful.
Now, I just want to chime in with something else here about like a framework for people to think about when they're writing copy for their website or they're using ChatGPT or Claude or whatever LLM to help them write that copy. I learned this actually from Taki Moore, who we mentioned earlier is the reason why we met, or the way we met. So Taki Moore teaches this thing called the 4 forces. And there are 4 quadrants. If you take a piece of paper and you draw a line down the center of the page vertically and one horizontally, so now you got 4 quadrants, and one of those quadrants will be moving towards and immediate. Moving towards and immediate, those are wants. Moving towards and future, or imagined. So that quadrant is aspirations. So moving towards, and it's imagined or future, that's aspirations. The left side of the page, or if you're using a whiteboard or whatever, the top quadrant there is frustrations, because you're moving away from, and those are immediate. And then the fears, that's the bottom left quadrant. The fears you're moving away from, and they're imagined or future. So by creating copy that addresses all four of those forces, the frustrations, fears, wants, and aspirations, you will build rapport and relatedness and really tug at the heartstrings of the person that you're talking to or you're writing for on your website or in your videos, because you get their world. It's not just telling me about the features and the benefits and what it does for you and the wants. Well, what about my fears? What if things go horribly wrong with my drainage project? What goes well is, basic good stuff that you would expect, kind of table stakes, but what would be my aspirations, right? So creating wonderful memories for years to come for my kids, for my grandkids and so forth, because the yard is finally usable. Every time it rains, it becomes like a little pond, very frustrating, and we can't enjoy the yard for days. That affects my quality of life for not just me, but my family too. And then when I grow older and I have grandkids over, that's still going to be a problem. Well, touch on that with aspirations and with fears, and not just address the wants and the frustrations, the immediate. So that model of, I don't know if it's Taki's or you got it from somewhere else, but that's so cool. And it really helps hone in on great copy.
Yeah, nice framework. Cool. And then obviously the imagery needs to give the copy wings, essentially, and really needs to enhance the copy, because the pictures tell 1,000 words. And in the right hand side of the above the fold section on the homepage, we have a before and after state, before little inset picture, and then a much larger after picture. So it's an incredible difference, because there's a flood in the before picture and the after is just beautiful green grass around a beautiful pool and landscaping. So it's a big difference. And you can see, if you look closer, there's actually little drainage dots dotted throughout it. So that picture tells the story, okay, and reinforces the copy. Then we have a call to action. We have they can either request a free quote or call. So obviously a local business, you want to have your phone number in there. And then also in the top nav above the sticky top navigation, we have the same thing, the call now and the request a free quote, because then they can see that on every single page, right? So it's sticky.
Yeah. And some, by the way, some businesses, local businesses that rely on calls coming in as much, or if not more than the form fill outs, they need to be using a tool like CallRail to track the calls and where they're coming from, and so which pages, which campaigns, which marketing channels are driving the leads, because some are poor performers and some are overperformers, and the overperformers you want to invest more in, and the poor performers you want to either optimize or cut them out and stop spending money on those channels. And how are you going to know that if everything coming in is just a one main number?
Exactly. It's a really good tip. Yeah, and then obviously the underneath the call to action, we just reiterate kind of what we call impact metrics. So we've got top 3 rated landscaping companies, which is an award they won. Then we reiterate the 10-year guarantee, so it's just in plain English text, and then 10K plus happy customers, 5-star average Google reviews. There's 222 of them. And then, I guess he's written it twice here, which is probably a bit of overkill, but it's what we're trying to do is get people's attention with the metrics. So we've got large 5 for 5-star, and then 222 for the actual amount of the number of 5-star reviews. But I want to mention as well that this is all just above the fold. The top nav is obviously super important as well. We know from, offering conversion optimization that the top nav, it gets clicked more than anything. People A lot of people don't scroll, right? But the top nav is super important. And there's a bit of logic to the top nav order of things, and just making sure, there's not too many elements. But we believe, Steph and I both believe, that the about should be the first item in the top nav, as opposed to anything else, because that's generally one of the most visited pages, like we mentioned before. And then you want to go into your services. Obviously, if we're talking about a service business here, and then the locations, and then some social proof, and then some free stuff after that. And in this case, we have careers at the very end, and then contact. So
this is really important for our listener or viewer, that they should not break the paradigm of the web. Most people are expecting the top nav to have about or about us and contact us, and the leading with the about and ending with the contact, because most websites do that. Don't break the paradigm of the web. Nobody wants to rent a rental car that has everything in the wrong place, or is all different from what they're used to. So make it easy and intuitive. Don't make them think too hard.
That made me think. Steve Krug, I think you've had him on.
Yes, he was a guest on this podcast. Great episode. A fantastic book, like a classic for anybody who wants to build anything that is intuitive, whether it's a website or an app or anything. Don't make me think. Classic book. Another thing too that about the top nav that you always do is you make it sticky. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, just as you scroll down the page, you don't want the top nav to disappear up the top. You always want it to be in view, so it just sticks to the very top pixel of the web page, essentially. And that'll be on every page of the website. Yeah. So that's everything above the fold. We unpacked a lot then. We haven't even unpacked the rest.
So also, since we're on the topic of sticky navs, what about a nav on the side, like a sidebar nav? When do you want to make that sticky? Because you've made sticky sidebar navs as well. Not on the homepage, but on other pages.
I see what you mean. Yeah. So for instance, like if you have a table of contents or navigation within another page, yes, like your podcast. I don't think we've done that on this website, but I think what you're saying is, yes, there might be a secondary navigation or categories or whatever it is that helps segment. And what we generally do, I wonder if you could bring me a link quickly, Stephan, but we generally, when people scroll to that section, we would have that section sticky at the top of the page so that you can keep scrolling the rest, but that little sticky segmented area would be static, and it would always be in view as you're scrolling through the rest of the page. That's what we're trying to say.
Right. So, well, let's keep this on topic to Ware Landscaping, but yeah, this is an overall strategy that makes it easier for someone to convert, to take that next action that you want them to take, because it's always in view, whether it's a call out, an ad to something like, on my podcast, Get Yourself Optimized, on that website, we have sticky sidebar navs for things like view the course or download the checklist as like a right-hand sidebar internal ad, essentially, on show notes pages. On the left side, we have the table of contents to the main sections of the show notes. And so that is a really cool way to keep people going down the quote unquote funnel, although it's kind of more like a pinball machine these days. Some people are saying, internet marketing is getting turned on its head with AI. But anyways, you want to keep people going down a path that will get them to convert. And you help steer them in that way with the sticky navs.
That's right, exactly. And then really think of your homepage as the director of traffic. You're never going to close people on a homepage. You just want to direct them off to whatever's right for them based on their intent, right? So they may be ready to get a free quote straight away because they may have heard of you through an ad or through something else, or the radio, for instance, he advertises on radio, or else you want to direct them to a page that's right for them, for one of your services, so they can learn more about it. Then obviously we've got impact metrics. Then you want to have a testimonial close to the top of the page, so that, and a killer testimonial. Don't have a lot, just have one so that people can see an incredible result. And then all from here down, it's really just trying to boost credibility and using trust elements.
One other thing I want to point out before you scroll away from, like, he had a radio ad that was, I thought, really and kind of endearing and cool, and it made him very personal and personable. And that ad we put on the website. So you can see that's featured there underneath the testimonial. So just another example that you might think, well, I don't do radio ads. Well, I did a podcast ad on Dave Asprey's podcast, which used to be called Bulletproof Radio and is now called The Human Upgrade. And he does these customized ads where he's the one reading it, and he's saying stuff about what the company's like because he's had experience with it. So he was saying wonderful things about Net Concepts and our SEO and working with me directly, Stephan. And that was in Dave's voice. And it was, being exposed to many, many, many thousands of listeners on Bulletproof Radio. And it finally, after a while, many months, it occurred to me, like, wait a second, am I just letting that sit over on Dave's side? Why don't I pull that over and put it on my own website along with all my other testimonials? And so we now feature that on Net Concepts and on stephanspencer.com. Like, if you have something like that where you have somebody saying something nice about you on their show, whether it's an ad or it's a just kind of a call out, a hat tip or whatever, feel free to, if with permission, use it on your own website, use it on your own YouTube channel, on your own podcast.
Love it. Great tip. And yeah, soon we have a before and after video where it explains the whole process, like a real proper case study. And you'll notice the brand elements as well. It's quite memorable and unique, especially for like a landscaping business. It's very different to what everybody else does. And yeah, so this is all part of that brand positioning piece and elements to give it a bit of brand personality. But then, yeah, this is a little bit of problem solution text. So you think about the story brand framework. It's really just letting people know you understand their problem. You have a unique solution to them. And that's what the rest of this is. And then we just segment off to the various solutions that they offer. And then he talks about, it depends on the time of year, but if he's doing snow removal, it's not all year round. So he has a section for that. But really, just like I said, think of it as a gateway to get to everything else on your website. And this here shows the stages of how his drainage magic unfolds, and it's just got all the different stages like schedule.
Michael loves that, by the way. That was a brilliant innovation on your guys' part to make it so visual and so clear and unambiguous how a multi tens of thousands of dollar project that is a big considered purchase for somebody, but a big pain point for somebody who has standing water in their yard. This just makes it so simple and straightforward and an easy yes. And he loves that.
That's good to know. Thank you. I didn't know he loved that bit. But yeah, awesome. Yeah. So then as well, having, decent photos, real photos. There's no stock on this website anywhere. It's really important. Real testimonials. Just everything is real. There's no fakeness with this. And this is why.
Yeah. And these aren't just testimonials like that you usually get. We pulled from his Google reviews, some of the 5-star reviews, and put those up with the star rating and the person's name that was publicly available on the website. I mean, on the Google profile, Google local business profile for Ware. And that means that you're not just reliant on the testimonials where you got somebody to make a video for you. You've got maybe hundreds of reviews over many years that you can pull from your Google profile, business profile, from your Yelp profile, etc. Leverage that. Feature those on your website.
Exactly. And just, pick them all. And obviously, we don't want to load too many onto the homepage because it would just take forever to load the page. So we just pick a handful, and then you have a call to action to go to the individual testimonials page where they can scroll through, tons of them basically. So, and then, we generally often have like a section for education. This really helps showcase your authority when you share your expertise. So we just have, a few snippets to his most recent articles. It could be videos, could be podcasts.
And I love the title or the headline, right? So it doesn't say blog or latest blogs. It says expert articles. And it's not just latest articles or latest blog posts. It's expert articles, because nobody cares that it was 2 weeks ago that article was released, or 2 months ago, or 6 years ago. These are expert articles about the things they care about, like how do you do a drainage project and make sure that it actually works? What's the difference between a French drain and some of these other kind of drains that the competitors do? And so those expert articles are so helpful in positioning Michael as the go-to guy, the expert who has the YouTube following, all the great videos, who has all the expertise and the knowledge base that he shares on his website.
Got it. Nice. And then we just have a little locations map for each of his main locations, which is interactive, so people can just see roughly where they are in relation to each of the main locations. And then there's the footer. And so we just list out all the main pages in the footer. And then that's kind of it.
And there are hundreds of pages to this website. This is a pretty big website. It wasn't nearly as big before they came on board to work with my company, but we've built out hundreds of pages that are high value pages that really are worth people's time to read. It's not just SEO copy for Google. And the most important pages are bubbled up to the top with the internal linking structure and the different kinds of navs, sidebar navs, top navs, footer navs, etc., and in content links as well.
Yeah. And we'll show the results at the end of the boost they've had. It's incredible. So, but it takes a lot of work, as you can tell. It's not just us, it's the client as well, providing whatever we need him to, videos, photos, etc. And Mike was super helpful along the way. So, by the way, this is his about page. This is what we turn the about page into with the help of Stephan's team writing the copy, and and us.
Can you go back to the previous about page so we can contrast?
Yeah, let's do it. Which is, here we go. That's before, and that's it.
That's a cute family photo of him with his wife and kids. But
his kids are gorgeous.
All this like block of copy above it and this wall of copy below it doesn't really inspire a person to read it. There are no sections with subheadlines or visuals to help break out and to tell the hero's journey story, because he's got a great story. And people who are into football love that he's not just a football fan, but he was a college football player and a pretty successful one as well. And then he was at University of Illinois. He was a walk-on. Like, he is a self-made man, not just from his business, but from his football career as well. And all the great storytelling that I and my team pulled out of him to then utilize your team to display visually in such a beautiful, engaging format. It's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a good team effort. Absolutely. And so this is the after. This is the about page. So it's a little bit of an overview at the top, and then we do have a call to action there. Why not? Beautiful photo of him and his family. Again, good testimonial. And then there's a video, a testimonial, and then he's got commitment to you. So it's making it all about them. If you look at the other previous about page, it's all about him, but this is all about his commitment to them, what it means, like their core values, what that means to the customer. Essentially, we're customer centric. We believe in transparency, blah, blah, blah. And then the culture, which I think is important, his mission, and then his journey so far. So this is what Stephan tapped on before. If somebody's got this far down the about page and they understand all this stuff and they understand what's in it for them, then they may be interested in, well, what led you to this? Why should I trust you? Who is behind this brand? And what were the milestones on your journey that sort of, position you as the authority. And that's what we're trying to unpack so that people can get to know the person or, the people behind the brand. And just think about, even if it is a brand and it's not so much people, what are the milestones on your journey? What customers did you help in that time? What challenges did you overcome? Who helped you along the way? And yeah, so you can tell a personal story, you can tell a business story, but doing it in a visual timeline way, like we're showing here, is just super easy and impactful for somebody to read that and really get to know you. So that's what Stephan was saying earlier, that we do on every website.
Yeah. Because you want people to root for you. Like, you're the underdog who is self-made, created something out of nothing, bootstrapped, whatever your story is, overcame some adversity. People want to root for you, and they want to work with people that they root for.
Because he's helping families, and I love the fact that he's just displaying his family all throughout his journey as well, because he's very much a family man. And, that's his target market, and they're going to value that as well. So don't be afraid to put yourself and your own story into your timeline. Yeah. Cool. And then, we just end with another beautiful, call to action with a during and after this time instead of a before and after, but either way, and then social proof. And that's kind of it. So that is the about page. And I know we've been going for a while, but there's a few more pages we wanted to unpack. So
yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay. So this would just be one of the service pages. So just the drainage page. So now obviously it's got a lot of different locations. So what we're doing here for this, which is main location, we're putting Naperville. I get that right, didn't I, Stephan? As the headline. Yep. Just a little sub headline of what that's all about. We still have all of the impact metrics and credibility icons in there, a nice picture that represents this location. And then we have the usual trust building things, because we have to think people may come directly to this page and not go to the homepage. So don't worry about duplicating authority boosting things and social proof on multiple pages, because people need to see it. And what I really love about what he does is just he displays his prices on these pages, which does, like we said before, attract a better clientele, because the people that are prepared to pay this won't even bother contacting him. So I think it's good that he displays his pricing. And then straight underneath the pricing, that's where he has his guarantee, which I think is really smart, because it's right. Okay, here's a pricing, but don't worry, we've got your back. We've got a guarantee. So this is well worth it. We'll just fix it for free forever. And then we go into his process for this particular service.
Yeah. So what do they call that? Risk reversal, right? So you're taking the risk and you're putting it on yourself, saying, hey, if anything goes wrong, it's on me.
Exactly. Risk reversal. That's spot on. It's definitely a strategy that, we definitely encourage all clients to think about. Cool. So then, it's a fairly long page, but this is like an SEO, a high ranking SEO page.
A lot of these service and location pages are high ranking. Now, this is because it's the main service page. We've made it specific to the Naperville location, but we also have other location plus service pages as well. And they look pretty similar in terms of the style of it, but different copy, different images and stuff, different videos.
Yes. In fact, it's intentional that the styling across all the services pages is pretty much identical look and feel, because we don't want it to be jarringly different. And if we think about what you're saying before, don't make me think, if they go to different services, we want to have the same structure, the same look and feel across all of them. But like Stephan said, it needs to have different copy so that each page ranks individually for each service or location or service within a location. But talk about these FAQs. Why are these here, Stephan?
Yeah, so FAQs are great for multiple uses. One is on service pages or on sales pages, landing pages, to obliterate objections that the potential buyer might have. These can also be used on separate FAQ pages. They can also be used as fodder for videos, each about one or several of the questions with answers. There's so much value to be gained from creating FAQs and then the answers to them. And one of the easiest things that you can do to have is to have Google help you come up with those questions. And so there's a free tool called alsoasked.com, and it will scrape Google's results for the frequently asked questions that you see as a box on many of the search results that's called people also ask. And when you expand those questions in the Google search results, you'll see that Google starts populating even more questions. So it's kind of like an infinite rabbit hole you can go down of FAQs. Google's providing you the fodder for that, so you can use that as inspiration for creating your own FAQ section on a crucial page like a sales page or a landing page, as well as a separate FAQ section to your site.
So yeah, very powerful in a lot of ways, and make it specific per service, or even better, service location. Very powerful. Some businesses may need a single FAQ page that answers a lot of questions, but it's more powerful for SEO and super helpful for people if you answer questions about a specific service as well.
Yep. And one thing that you do is there's so many nuances and little details. You make sure that the first question is expanded to show its answer, because content that is hidden by default gets discounted by Google. So if you hide all of the answers, then Google's not really counting so much the answers because they're all hidden away under the plus sign or the down arrow.
Yep. So we just display the first one because we want to get the balance right. You don't want it to be all expanded because it's a bit overwhelming for the user. You just want them to read one at a time. So when one closes, the next one opens. Yeah. Cool. All right. So then that becomes a template for the other pages. And so this here is a locations page, and the other one was a services page. So you'll find it's very similar, but it's more related to that location and obviously the service as well. But then we link out to the various other services within this page. So keep that in mind as well. So it's, if you look at the old version of this, there were just little links within. What we want to do instead of having little links within, and this is probably not the best example, but we want to show actual graphics that are interactive, and you can get to that individual service page for that location. So yeah, it's pretty smart, next level basically. And then we have just a form on that page so you know where that lead came from. But okay, so then we do a different version for paid traffic, and this has all of the unnecessary SEO related copy stripped out of it. We leave all of the authority boosting elements in there. We'll come back to the top in a minute. And we just make it extremely, focused on mobile traffic, because obviously a lot of paid traffic comes from mobile, but we just give them the right amount of information without overdoing it. So it's really, we give them enough so they don't have to pogo stick across the whole website, but we don't have as much content, which is really to try and attract, organic traffic that we have on the individual, service location pages that aren't for paid traffic. So this is just for paid traffic. And so above the fold, the other thing we know that converts really well for paid traffic is having a form above the fold. And the reason it converts better on, let's say, a paid traffic page versus a non-paid traffic page is because we know their intent. If the targeting's done right through their advertising, their intent is they've got a problem with drainage. So they already know they've got a problem and they are looking for a solution straight away. So they've clicked on an ad, and therefore they're just going to get a free quote. So it's low risk. This converts really well when you have a form above the fold on a paid traffic page. But if you're on an individual service page, you don't necessarily need a big form here because A, they're ugly, and B, if they press a free quote, which is always above the fold, then it's going to go to that form anyway. But realistically, I would prefer, and this still converts really well, but people are more in research mode on this page. So they don't necessarily convert above a fold anyway if you did have an ugly form up here on an individual services page.
And back to the paid traffic page there for a second. So you strip away all of the nav and you just have the logo in the top.
Yes, good point. Yeah. Once again, we don't want people to pogo stick around and go to another page, because that defeats the purpose of sending paid traffic to to a page, because then you don't know the effectiveness of your ad spend. And to your point earlier, Stephan, this phone number is different on this landing page than what it was on the rest of the website, because once again, they want to measure the paid traffic result. So this phone number is unique to this landing page. Yeah, which is through that service call rail that you mentioned earlier.
That's right.
Cool. But yeah, no top navigation, no footer navigation. And then another thing we do to prevent leakage, we'll just test this. Hopefully they've done it. The privacy policy should be in a pop-up, and we'll get that fixed. But yeah, what we do, instead of taking people off, see how we went off to an actual individual privacy policy page. Generally speaking, on a paid traffic page, you want that to open in a pop-up on the page to keep people on the page. So we're going to get that fixed.
Yeah, and also one thing that you do that we really like is on all pop-ups where you have the privacy policy, that the little messaging that we're protecting your email address or whatever. When the pop-up comes up and the privacy policy is mentioned on that pop-up, if you click on that, it shows a pop-up underneath the main pop-up instead of going to another page, so that we keep them in the flow of completing the pop-up instead of clicking away.
Yes, exactly. I was just trying to find the lead magnet, but yeah. Okay. So then this is also smart. This is from your team. So on the testimonials page, we have all testimonials, so you can just see a big wall of them. But then we also have them separated into their service. So people that are looking for just testimonials about drainage can go to the drainage tab and just read those ones. So it's just much better user experience for people that are looking for that. And then just to take it to the next level, we've got the same categorization on the folio page, the portfolio page for all of their past projects. Once again, super helpful just to get to drainage or landscaping, etc. And then,
by the way, this was something that they didn't do before. They did not even have a portfolio of past projects. They just had some testimonials and some videos, but it was a little bit of a mishmash, and there wasn't a section of it's essentially social proof, showing the before and afters with video and pictures and a description of the project and the location of it and stuff. This is really, really good.
Yeah, and I think this is one that the client's added himself recently, but most of them looked a little bit better than that. They kind of have a full before and after state and a little bit of a story around the portfolio. But yeah,
not all of them had that, because that was more extensive, more work for our client.
Yeah. So yeah, it's fair enough. But then same with the learning center as well. All of the blog content, etc., is categorized
expert articles
as well.
Yep.
There you go. Yeah. So yeah, it's just next level, the whole website. And then finally, they got to request a quote page. It's got a nice video on here. It's a really good video, actually. And then he does ask some pre-qualifying. No, he doesn't. He just asks for sorry. He makes these fields mandatory: phone number, street address, because this also attracts better quality leads. Okay, so yeah, keep that in mind. If you're a service business, you want better leads.
Yeah, but you can test it, right? You can turn off the required field and see what effect it has on the quality and the quantity of the leads coming in. You can add more questions. You can remove questions. You can make them not required. Yeah, be experimental. This shouldn't be just like a set it and forget it. Can you show the example or show the version before when the previous site was live?
Yes, it was. don't think they had one, did they? Maybe just the contact page.
They only had a contact page, so that's important that they didn't have like a separate request a quote page. And the contact page, go back to that contact page for a second. That was not sophisticated, and that didn't make me feel like I was working with a person or a company of people. It just felt so generic and sparse and I don't know.
But this, yeah, especially with the video of Mike, you got a picture of Mike as well. Yeah, it's certainly, yeah, well, it converts really well.
Yeah. People want to do business with people they know, like, and trust. And you got to convey that on the contact page and the request a quote page.
Exactly. And so he has a contact page as well. But yeah, then he has a careers page, which we've put a lot more effort into this page, your team, with the copy. And yeah, it's really just showing, what people will get out of working here. But this has a great double benefit. One, you attract the best people, but then also for prospects that are thinking or considering hiring you, they look at your careers page and they go, oh, wow, these guys really put in a lot of effort to attract the best people, which is another reason for them to choose you. So that's what I like about, this level of careers page.
Yeah. And I love that you care about what the user journey is. So you install for your clients Microsoft Clarity, and then you can watch the user sessions, where they're clicking to, what their session looks like, what they're clicking on that doesn't actually work, that isn't clickable, but maybe they're expecting it to be, how they're interacting with forms and other interactive elements. This is really, really smart. And like, what gets measured gets managed. And if you're not tracking this stuff, how do you know that some things are working and some things aren't? It's just guesswork otherwise.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's why we say, like, even though we use all of the best conversion elements and strategies and, layouts and copy and images and design and everything, a website's never finished. So you always have to test and measure, and you'll always find opportunities to improve things. And your audience changes over time as well. And you may have new competitors that come into the market. So for all these reasons, you just have to constantly put effort into, improving your website. And you won't know that unless you check all of your heat maps and user insights and all of your Google Analytics and how it's actually converting as well, how many leads and sales you're generating from it. So a website is never finished. Cool. And then, so here's some of the results. I mean, just the calls, like from just explain this. Was this before the redesign, May 23?
Yeah.
49.
So there's several kind of milestones. One is when they hired us, Net Concepts, my SEO agency, and then when they hired you at Studio One, months later, maybe it was a year later or something like that, and then today, or most recently. So in those time frames, we saw some really nice results in terms of increased call volume, increased clicks, and form fill outs, and the number of keywords that we rank for this client. All this has grown, and yeah. So I don't know how much detail we want to get into in terms of like each of these numbers, but the idea here is that we're getting up into the right graphs and charts here.
Well, we can confidently say it's tripled without saying a metric, right? Like it's tripled the amount of inbound calls, which is incredible. Yeah, and so that's just the calls, and there's a whole bunch of metrics on this page, but we probably don't need to go into all of them. But all we can say, the traffic's gone up significantly, and the conversions have gone up significantly, and they're better quality leads as well. So that's the end result, which, let's not give specifics, but.
Well, I mean, you can show like there's screenshots, SEMrush, Ahrefs. These are tools that are for paid subscribers are giving information on any website that you want. So this is basically public information. So you can see it's really looking good up and to the right here with improvements in number of keywords that we're ranking for, the amount of organic traffic, and anecdotally from our client Michael, yeah, better quality of those leads that are coming in as well.
Yeah, you bet. So that's kind of a wrap, Stephan, unless there's anything else you wanted to add.
No, I think this was above and beyond. You did a great job and walking through some of these best practices, some innovations that may not even be known as best practices, but should be. This is like table stakes, I think, in the era of AI, where everybody who survives this AI apocalypse of jobs and businesses going out of business, they are going to be AI first. They're going to be looking for opportunities to scale and to multiply themselves and their team in ways that none of their competitors are doing, and also to reduce costs. So you need to be really upping your game in order to survive these next few years. And so these are really best practices to implement for any website, and especially if you have a local services business. But a lot of the stuff we talked about is applicable to any website, regardless of what you offer.
Exactly. And even if you do use AI to create a website, which you can do, these are timeless. These are principles that you can use no matter if you use AI or not, is what I'm trying to say. So good luck. I hope your website is successful.
This is really awesome, and thank you for kind of peeling back the curtain and showing some of your thought processes and some of your kind of standard operating procedures for creating a really outstanding website. So if somebody wanted to work with you and your team, where should they go?
Yeah, well, go to studio1design.com. So studio one, the numeral one, design.com. And yeah, just have a look at our folio. And if you see what you like, if you like what you see, I should say, then by all means reach out and we can have a chat and see if we can help you with your website. But also, I've got a new book about to be released. So go to nextlevelwebsitedesign.com.
Definitely get that amazing free book.
That's the plan.
And we'll include a link directly to that in the show notes for this episode as well. And of course, if you want SEO services from my company, please feel free to go to netconcepts.com or stephanspencer.com. Either will take you to potentially working with us. We would love to have a chat.
Perfect. They're the best in the world, guys.
Thank you, Greg. All right. Well, thank you so much, listener. This was a longer episode than usual. We're going to, I think, do some more of these. So if you liked this format, and we'll keep them to the usual hour or less in future episodes, but give us some feedback on what you liked and what you didn't like about this case study episode, and we'll apply that to future episodes. Thank you. Yeah, and that'll be released by the time this episode airs. So